Happy Tuesday, Feeling Things. I'm Amy.
And I'm Kat.
And I guess we should say hi to YouTube.
Hey YouTube.
We are on YouTube now. So we feel very excited
Hey,
about
everybody
this.
watching us on YouTube.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Patrick. He's actually probably not watching.
Just kidding. My parents have both passed.
Okay.
But I'm sure your parents are watching, right?
I don't think my dad's ever been on YouTube before.
Well, dang it. You need to get him an account so that he can subscribe.
Yes. Okay, well, this is the day to subscribe, though, because today we are talking about shame and guilt.
Big day.
Big day, feelings that really need to be talked about together because we confuse them a lot.
I definitely do. And I think a lot of us feel one or both things on a regular basis. But before we get into guilt and shame, I want to get to the feeling of the day. We didn't even practice that. I think we're just finding our groove. But our feeling of the day is embarrassed. And this feeling came about because I was on the tortilla aisle. Well, wasn't even getting tortillas. I just happened to be on the aisle in which they sell tortillas at the grocery store when suddenly I got this urge to pee. And we've talked about our pelvic issues before, way back in the day, on the fifth thing, before we turned into feeling things. So if you're just tuning in, you're like, wait, what happened to Four Things with Amy Brown? Well, Kat was my co-host on the fifth thing, and she's a licensed therapist. And I knew I wanted to pivot the podcast somehow, and we were having so much fun together. So here we are with feeling things, and we were talking about pelvic issues a lot on the fifth thing. Like, I don't know if it's just an age thing, because I've never given birth. I knew that there was bladder pelvic issues if you've been pregnant and you've given birth, and then all of a sudden you just start peeing. But I have not been pregnant, and I have not given birth, but yet I am still having pelvic bladder issues. And
well, part of that is, I'm no doctor, but could be also because you hold your pee for very long periods of time.
Working in radio, I have had to hold my pee a lot. And then when I sprint to the bathroom, I also, because our work restrooms are public, I don't sit on them and I don't have time to lay out the liner. So I squat, and they say squatting is bad. Good. So now I think I'm answering my own question as to why I'm at the grocery store and suddenly I have this urge to pee, and I have no choice but to either pee right there on myself in the aisle, or I squat down and just sit there squatting, kind of holding it in until it passes. So I'm down there, eye level with all the tortillas, acting like I am sorting through the tortillas. I'm like, okay, I don't want this kind. Ooh, like I am acting because I'm like, people are on to me. Like they're like, either this girl has to pee or she really is looking for a specific tortilla. And I was hoping for the latter. I needed them to think that I was on the hunt for the perfect tortilla.
Did you get tortillas?
No. No, eventually I just was like, okay, I think the sensation has passed, so I can
and then did you go?
Stand up. Of course not. I waited till I got home because the sensation passed and I just wanted to get the heck out of there, get what I needed, and then go. I didn't even know where the restroom was in this grocery store. Okay. Just the sensation passed, so I knew I was in the clear. Luckily, it didn't come back until I got home. Until I got home, and then I had to run to the bathroom.
But this also, I don't know if you told this story on the fifth thing or if you just told it to me, but wasn't there a time you were in an elevator and you just squatted down and acted like you were looking for
Yes. In my bag, because the elevator started going up and the pee started coming out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pee my pants. So I squat down in the elevator. Other people are in there and I'm like digging, but I'm doing the thing where I'm digging my heel into my toilet. Just to create you're not coming out.
Yeah, a stopper.
Yeah. I created it works. So that's my tortilla squat story. And I was...
You were internally embarrassed because nobody could tell you were.
No, but I really feel like sometimes if there's grocery store footage, like video cameras where they're watching people on the aisles, if they were watching, they knew because they saw me and then squat and then as people would come, only when people would walk by would I really start inspecting the tortillas. But if they passed, I'd be like,
okay, we're going to get you into some pelvic floor
I know.
therapy.
We've talked about that. Or
maybe just even get some like tips of some exercises you can do on your own.
Right, which we talked about my friend Tiffany. It's literally what she does. She's a pelvic floor specialist, and I don't think I've ever had a full appreciation for God's work that she's doing because I think now I need it.
Yeah. Okay.
I need it in a big way. So that is my embarrassing story, and that's why being embarrassed is the feeling of the day. And so I don't know what do we do with embarrassed? Like, how do we lean into that? Is there a gift?
Laughter.
Oh,
eventually laughter.
There we go.
Embarrassment usually comes in from the shame category, because when we get embarrassed, it's like, oh my gosh, like we have like these negative stories in our head. But through time, I think we can look back on stories that were really embarrassing, and now I can appreciate them and laugh about them.
And like, I shouldn't feel shame about that because everybody's peed their pants.
At some point in their life, sure.
Right.
Yes.
Which I didn't pee to clarify, but
I think there's an internal dialogue. I'm thinking of a story that happened last week, that there's this internal dialogue that automatically pops up that says, this is embarrassing. You're what a loser, or whatever your voice says. And then I have to come back with another voice that's like, actually, nobody cares. So then that story just gets to be funny. I was working out last week, and the class, I think this was on Saturday. Saturday. The class is kind of small, usually not very small. This girl walks in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know her. And the last time I saw her, I was walking in the Target parking lot, and she called out my name, was like, Kat. So of course I was like, she's going to say hi to me. Well, she doesn't. And we were in different stations. So I was like, maybe she doesn't want to like interrupt me or whatever. So the whole class, I'm like, this is weird. She feels like she's avoiding eye contact with me every time I try. You know, when you're trying to get somebody's attention and you keep looking at them thinking you guys are going to like.
And then you never do.
But then it feels like she kept like avoiding it.
So then you're like, what did I do to her?
Or then I'm like, what if it's not her? She was wearing a hat. But this girl always wears a hat. So then finally we were switching stations, and she was putting her weight up, and I needed that weight. So I was like, this is my chance. So I went up to her, and I like walked right in front of her, and I think I put my hand up like, hey. And then she made a face at me, and she said something like, how are you today? Or something like, this girl, she didn't know who I was at all. So I just did one of those things. So I was like, hey, I will take those weights.
Don't mind me.
Yeah. She was like, how are you today? And I was like, oh, great. Thanks. I'll take those weights. And then the rest of the class, I'm like, did she think I was trying to say hi to her? Did she think that, or did she whatever? Was that awkward? And then as we're leaving, I'm like, this girl's never going to think of you again.
Ever.
Until she sees me in class again. But it was embarrassing in the moment. And I told myself a story of, you should be ashamed. And then
that you were trying to be nice to say hi to someone that you thought they were, and then they weren't. Like, it's not a big deal.
But that also,
but we build it up.
Yes. Yeah. And it comes from one of my, I wouldn't say greatest fears, but most common fears, because this wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, is people not remembering who I am. So saying hi to somebody and then being like, do I know you? Which I've done before.
Yeah. Do you know that when you're meeting someone, like or you are, how do I say this? Like, you're not meeting them. Let's say you've already met them, but you don't know if you have.
Yeah.
And there's confusion. You can say, instead of saying, oh, nice to meet you, you say, good to see you.
Maybe that's what that girl was saying to me.
Yeah. Well, that's just like a tip to have in your back pocket of like, oh, I don't really know how to handle this. You can be like, oh, good to see you. And that way it covers all your bases. Because then if you say, oh, nice to meet you, then they're like, we've met like 3 times. And then you're like, oh, shoot, that's right. Oh. But if you say good to see you, like, you're still saying good to see you. It's like, you're not saying good to see you again. You say just good to see you.
Yeah.
Because if you say good to see you again and they're like, we've never met, then it's like, oh.
So if anybody ever says good to see you to you,
they might be using the trick. They might be using the trick. Speaking of embarrassing things, did you see that thing on Instagram where Rumor Willis was talking about bathing with her older siblings? Which I'm not embarrassed for her at all. Like, if that's what they're into or if that's what they do in their family,
she's not embarrassed.
But I think I just was thinking how I would feel bathing with my older siblings, and I would feel embarrassed getting naked with them.
There'd be some shame coming up if you, Yeah,
I just didn't know if you saw that, and it just popped into my head of like, is that weird?
Yeah, I'm
Let me see. I'm going to pull up.
I don't want to say, because I don't know the circumstances of this. Just blanket statement. It does sound
interesting.
Concerning. Interesting. It's interesting. Yes. And
Okay,
I have some questions.
So, okay, she said, it says, Rumor Willis said she still takes baths with her adult sisters. She said, that's just the kind of house I grew up in. People may think that's crazy and weird, but I don't.
But how old is she?
They're adults.
Like 30?
Yeah, I think.
How big is your bathtub?
Good question. Well, I imagine they have very wealthy parents. Maybe it's large.
But also, why?
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the questions. Why is probably a
we need
judgmental
to know.
question.
We need to know.
I want more information. But when I also was thinking about too, if you needed your sister to bathe you, that's not weird.
No. Like I bathed my parents when they were sick, which felt weird. I was talking about this with my boyfriend the other day, actually, how nobody should have to bathe their dad's area. But I did, and we got through it,
Yeah.
But it's just, it's not a high.
Yeah.
But it's also not the lowest of lows. I mean, pretty low. It's pretty low. Even for him, like there was a lot that he had to, speaking of shame. Yeah. That was hard.
So that's not concerning. That's just one of those things it's like tough. Or I know that when I was in high school, I broke my collarbone. My mom had to help me shower. I had a lot of shame. And my mom was like, Catherine, I birthed you. I'm like, yeah, it's very different. I'm like 17.
Would you think you could handle her bathing you now? Oh, I guess you have a husband.
Yeah, Patrick would probably be the one to do that. But honestly, I don't.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
You have
I think your boyfriend would bathe you.
Well, we're not there yet. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I guess he could, but TBD.
Okay. Well, who would you rather have bathe you, me or
my
your
sister?
Oh, your sister. Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to pick. But then if my boyfriend and I get married, then I'll have that locked in. Although he is way older than me, so let's be honest, I'm probably bathing him before he's bathing me. But he's okay. To clarify,
he's 80 years old.
Okay. Sorry, if he's listening right now, which he's probably not, but
he's watching us on YouTube. Is what he's doing.
That is right. I'm going to make him subscribe. So he's, I'm 44. So we're 8 right now because of our window. We're 8 years apart. And then in a few months, we'll be like 9.
That's not that.
Well, that's old. He's 52, which I now have Rumor Willis's age since we were talking about it. She's 36 years old. Okay. So they're adults well into their.
Yeah.
But hey, if anybody listening, if you bathe with your adult siblings, we want to know. Reach out to us. Tell us what that's about. Maybe we're missing out. So, I'm excited to get into the gifts and impairments of shame and guilt. But we mentioned earlier about mixing them up, and that's something that I do often. And I want to share something that my therapist once told me. She said that shame is guilt's dramatic cousin that shows up uninvited and makes everything personal.
I love that.
Yeah, my therapist is good. I mean, you're good too, but
thanks. But
you couldn't be my therapist. But if I could hire you, I would.
But is this a therapist that I know?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, well, she's good anyway. So,
and
I learned everything from her.
She's great. But this was a different one. I'm sure that the other one would say this too, but I'll say it again for those in the back, or if you're listening on YouTube, low volume. Shame is guilt's dramatic cousin that shows up uninvited and makes everything personal. Because shame is where it gets real personal and beyond dramatic. It takes the guilt next level.
Well, so how I've always explained it, I'm going to steal this, so thank you, is guilt says I did something bad, where shame would say I am bad. And that's where that the dramatic, it makes it personal.
Yeah, I like that too. I think both shame and guilt on Friday.
What happened?
My son had a track meet and I did not want to go.
Track meets are tough sometimes.
They're long.
They're
real long. And it had been a long week and we switch on Fridays. So with our co-parenting, we go Friday to Friday and it's like they leave my house Friday morning for school and then Friday afternoon they go home to his house or vice versa. So got them off to school Friday. And then I'm at work doing my thing. Then it was a long day. And it just was like, I just really did not want to go. And he's racing for 5 minutes because he does the mile and he is fast. So
he does the mile
in 5 minutes and 30 seconds or something.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Does he win?
No. Some kids run it in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Yes. And they are hauling. Like, I don't know how they're doing it. But I knew that I would feel bad if I didn't go. First of all, it was far away. And I knew Ben was taking him. It was fine. But I was like, oh, part of me is like, I don't really have to go. Like, this is one of those things where I guess I don't have to. But even having that thought made me feel bad. So then I also was like, okay, if I don't go, like, I'm a bad mom. I'm a terrible mom. Like, I need to go. So ultimately I decided I was going to feel best if I went. But I had all the thoughts that were like guilt and shame because now I'm a bad mom.
Well, you had the guilt that helped you actually do what made you.
Right. It motivated me in the right direction. Like, I don't want to feel guilty because I know that it will mean a lot for him if Ben and I are both there. And Ben and I can't always both be there, especially when there's multiple track meets in the week, depending on a weeknight. If there's work stuff going on, we'll tag team. And I know not every parent listening can be at every kid's sporting event. Like, I even think of my boyfriend, like, he's got 3 kids and in his situation, he's the only one available. And it's hard to get to all their stuff. They have some grandparents in town. So luckily, they can come in or other family friends, but a lot of times they're riding with friends and he's not able to be there. So I understand that for a lot of parents, it's like, oh, don't feel bad. Not everybody can always be there. But I did. I felt bad. That got me to go. But then I felt like if I didn't go, I was now a bad person.
The punishment was exaggerated.
Yeah.
Where it was really like, oh man, I probably, if I think about it, that would have been the right thing that would make me feel the best versus this cancels out everything I've ever done for him in my life.
Right. And then also I didn't want it to be about me feeling better. I really wanted it to be about just showing up for him.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it should be about at the end of the day. And you know what? He was so excited that I was there. And he ended up running 2 events. And he was like, are you going to be able to stay for the next? And of course I did. But then it was like 2 hours later. And then I was driving home. And then, speaking of my boyfriend and his son had a basketball game like 30 minutes away. So then we went to that.
What do you do for 2 hours in the middle of the...
Well, I paced the parking lot a little bit, trying to work on a video that I was doing for Instagram. But then my phone was going to die. So then I had to go in my car and set it down on the little charger thing because I don't have the wire. So I couldn't work on it because, like, in the console. So I'm getting a wire.
What is he doing?
Stevenson?
Like, yeah.
Hanging out with his friends,
okay.
like in the middle of the track. And then they start setting up the hurdles. So then I call my boyfriend and I'm like, hey, is there like a sequence of events? Because I don't understand the order of things. And because he was a athlete, like a decathlete, which is every track event. And he broke a record in high school for hurdles. Actually, he still holds the record. And remember, he's 52. So this is a long time.
Can he still hurdle?
That people have not broken his record. He doesn't, I mean, I'm sure he could, but he doesn't run much these days. But it's just a fun fact about him is that he's got that record. So I'm like, Uncle Rico? I'm like, show me what you got.
Who's Uncle Rico?
Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Actually, if he
Why is this not ringing a bell?
Uncle
I've seen
Rico
that movie.
was throwing the football and he's like, still thinks he's this football star. No? Have you seen it?
So my memory is not good, but I have seen it. I've seen it like probably 10 times.
Well, I'm just surprised you haven't heard the Uncle Rico reference, but that's totally fine if you haven't. So that
I don't feel
helps
shame
me.
about that.
Don't feel shame about that because that helps me know I probably need to explain my references because if my boyfriend was Uncle Rico, what he would be doing if he were that is like I would show up at his house and he would have hurdles set up in his driveway and he would be running them. Like that would be Uncle Rico.
Living in that
So thankfully
heyday.
We're not living in that heyday. Although
move forward.
If we do go to the high school he went to, which that's where his kids go, you can see the record.
Have
it's
you
like
seen
on the
his,
wall?
Like plaque?
It's on the wall. Yeah, and people talk about it. I'm like, what's it
Like, oh
what's
my
it like?
gosh.
We actually ran into his track coach somewhere and they were like, I think we got a good possibility to break your record this year. So like a good, like a student that might break it.
Did he run track in college?
He did. Yeah. At UVA.
Oh, wow. No Olympics?
No Olympics.
Did he think about it?
Good question. I haven't asked him that. I'll ask.
Okay.
I'll be like, hey, did you ever think about the Olympics?
You have that record from high school. Isn't that what that means? When you go to the Olympics?
But so back to him being a decathlete, he knows all the events because he did all the events. And I wanted to know how long I might be waiting. Because I was like, is there a universal? Is this the order we go in? And he was like, well, typically, but I don't know about junior high, but for sure in high school and college. So anyway, 2 hours later, I was able to leave. But I'm so glad I went, and Stevenson was so excited. And for me, it was the right thing to do for him, not for my guilt and shame, I guess.
Well, it's attached to what you think is what you know is going to make him happy too. It's okay for it to be for both of you guys.
Okay.
That's not a bad motivator.
So you're giving me permission?
Yeah, that goes to like it's okay to have those like selfish motivations sometimes where it's, I know being a good mom, part of that is bringing joy to my kids' lives and my kids knowing that their mom is supportive of them. So that's mutually beneficial. That's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's my little example because I just had that scenario on Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
So now let's get into the to the meat of things.
Yeah. So
do you know that analogy?
Can you explain it to me? So you have a plate.
Well, I'm thinking then there's the bones and then there's like the meat.
Oh, I'm thinking of like a plate and there's like the
maybe
vegetable.
That's where that does come from. Like the meat and potato. Like we just went through the sides.
Yeah.
Like we started with the salad and then we just had, like I just served up a little side dish with that story. And then now you're going to get to the meat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
You always thought that was about the bones?
Well, you start talking, I'm going to look up where that comes from. Because we'll start with shame. Okay. We'll start there and get into the core need of that.
Okay, so back to, if you're new, little refresher, we're going through all the 8 core feelings, and we're talking about the need attached to them, the impairment if you avoid the feeling.
I'm just laughing at like, if anybody's new.
Why?
Well, like, why would they?
Why is that funny?
Well, I don't know. It's just like, maybe they stumbled upon us. Like just this episode.
We're on YouTube. No, they could have been the next video that came up. And they're like, they look fun.
You're right. No, I know. Or if they've downloaded. Because I guess if I'm starting a podcast, okay, true. Confession.
You act like we can't have new listeners.
I've listened, well, to
it's our 3rd episode.
Yeah, but if this was 4 things, which this is the feeling things is the rebranded version of that, this would be episode like 653, not just the 3rd. So you're right. But see, I feel like, did people go back to the beginning and start, or did they just pick up wherever?
I do not go back to the beginning of a podcast.
Okay.
Unless I run out of episodes and then I'm like, oh, I want to listen to more.
So I'm going to go back 650.
If somebody was like, hey, I started listening to this new podcast.
Okay. And this is the episode.
And this is the next episode.
Okay. So if you are new, welcome. Hi. We are running through.
Are you trying to shame me?
No.
Okay.
No, I just thought it was funny of like, I know we have our loyal, amazing listeners that have been with us a long time. And of course there's going to be new ones finding us. And I want that. I guess I just think it's funny. Sometimes we're like, if you're brand new here, which I hope. Yeah. We need to act as if that's very normal. I'm sorry I derailed that.
We just got 1 million new followers on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Act as if
we must start from the beginning.
It's actually blowing up so much so that I think we probably should slow down.
Oh, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's looking a little, weren't we watching someone on Instagram the other day where she was saying that? Okay. We have to sidebar this for a second because I feel like I don't know that I believe her. I just feel like sometimes people say things on Instagram and it's not real. And they're acting like this is their strategy and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're like, things just blew up for me so fast and I didn't know how to handle it. So I had to like regroup or things. I don't know.
This is what I believe about that, a video. So we were watching a video that was giving a strategy for Instagram. She was talking about what she was doing. What I believe is true is that she blew up really fast and she was like overwhelmed because she's just a regular person with a regular job. She wasn't an influencer. She posted a couple videos that just like she went from a normal, like a 500 followers, 1,000 followers to like 30,000 within like a month, I think. And then now she's had over 500,000?
Yes.
If not more. So I think she did blow up really fast and didn't know how to handle it and didn't know how to keep up with the content that she felt pressured to make. What I don't believe is that she did what she said she was doing. Because we tried it and it didn't work.
Yeah. But you know how we didn't want to believe back in the day that boy bands were curated and put together?
What are you talking about?
Did you
What are you talking about?
You know, they were put together.
Because they're best friends.
No. See, that's what I'm talking about. I just feel like sometimes I wonder if Instagram has these people and they're like, oh, this creator could be something, like we're going to blow them up and we're going to make this a thing. And this is going to be our local project. And we make it seem like she was this nothing that went to something. And, you know, just like we thought Justin Timberlake and his boys just got together and formed a band, you know, and they were Lou Pearlman did it all.
There's a machine behind it.
Yes. That's just my theory.
Would you want to be one of those people?
I mean, no, I don't know that that's my lane. I mean, if they wanted to blow us up, that would be helpful. But I don't know what the expectations are with her of that. But her content is really good. Like she's handled the blow up well. I'll just say, I think she's handled it well. But
from what we can
there
see,
is a narrative that it was like a lot, and I'm just this overnight success when really there might be more to it. Now there are true, like people that have had something for years and years and years, and then they genuinely do organically blow up. Like that happens.
Yeah.
I just don't know that that's the vibe I'm getting from that. And she was feeding us these hacks that I think are just a trick to get us to do
them. Yeah, we got.
Because we tried and it didn't work.
Not even close.
Okay.
Do you think I'm rubbing off on you and you're becoming a little bit more skeptical?
Maybe you are. Because there are so many people that I used to believe and fall for and love. And now I'm like, it's like I see things more and I'm like, I see things more clearly. It's like I put my cat glasses on.
Cat vision.
I have yes, therapy cat vision, because you're skeptical of most everybody.
Yes, and I learned that by liking people and then being like, wait a second, you tricked me. So
you tricked me.
Speaking of that, who's the guy that was behind NSYNC? You said his name.
Oh, Lou Pearlman.
I watched that documentary. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called. Like,
Lou Pearlman's a nasty, nasty man. He's a dirty dog. Is that what it's called?
No, it was called like Dirty Pop or something. But
oh yeah,
that's close. Okay. So
okay, or that Dirty Pop.
Two things. I didn't finish it because after I think halfway through, it was a couple episodes, I got the point. But that was one of those things where it looks on the outside like they're having the time of their life, and on the inside they're not. So maybe that girl's not having the time of her life on the inside either. You know, who looks like she has all this success, but she might be really struggling. The other part is...
And then at night, Instagram's like locking her in her room and being like, film this content. Or like those dancers. You know, those dancers that are in that cult? And they look like they're having all fun dancing. Mm-mm. And then turns out, who knows when the camera's not on?
Who knows? That was another documentary I watched that whole thing. But what I was going to say is what I learned and what I really took away from Dirty Pop was the blimps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was in like aviation and blimps before.
And where did all the blimps
bands
go?
I don't know.
When's the last time you saw a blimp?
I actually rode in a blimp. Not too long ago, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're roding this
for me. The Goodyear blimp. I got to take the kids up in it for work.
Well, they were saying that he like maybe crashed all his blimps to get like insurance money or something.
I don't think I was in his blimp, but I was in a blimp.
But blimps were like blimp, 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 blimp. It's such a weird word. They were everywhere and now they're nowhere. And also, they were like a big money. I mean, the advertising dollars for a blimp. That's where he made all his money.
Yeah.
If we could have got our hands on one of those, put feeling things on it.
Oh, gosh, yeah. That'd be nice. Okay. People would be like, what is that?
It was just the fact that the blimp was in the NSYNC documentary was interesting to me. But it made me think, I haven't seen a blimp in a long time.
Yeah. Well, I know the origin of get to the meat of it.
Okay.
Because we're about to get to the meat. And it means to go to the most important part of the problem, just as it means the most important part of the meal. The expression is rooted in the idea that the meat of a meal, like the main course, is the most substantial and important part.
So
Although I feel like bathing with your adult siblings is pretty substantial.
So is that the meat of our podcast?
Definitely not. While the potatoes or side dishes are less significant. No, Rumor Willis bathing with her adult siblings was definitely the potatoes. And then like my track story, side dish, tortilla squat.
That could be meat though.
That's not meat, but that's a special sauce. Or it's a tortilla.
It holds it all together.
It's the wrap that holds it all together. So
should we get to the meat?
Shame. Also, the name of the documentary is Dirty Pop, the boy band scam.
Oh. Backstreet Boys, that was in there too, right?
Yeah.
He was with all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So shame.
Okay. All right. So shame. Like I was saying, if you're new here, we're going to talk about the need behind every feeling, the impairment if you don't feel it, and the gift if you do. So shame is a confusing one because a lot of people will say, how can that ever be good? But there's two types of shame. There's toxic shame and there's a healthy version of shame. It's the way I really view it. So the need around it is some kind of attunement, whether that's attunement with other people or attunement with self. And when I say that, do you know what attunement means? Sometimes I think we use...
Being in touch with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dialed in?
Dialed in, yeah. Yes.
Well, I just phonetically started to break it up and then go back into... what's the language? Latin. I broke it down root-wise, and then
What's the Latin root of attunement?
What?
Didn't you take Latin?
No.
Who was I?
No, have I convinced you in some way that I have?
Well, I think that people used to do that instead of taking Spanish or...
Oh, yeah. No, people still take it. I think actually one of my boyfriend's sons takes Latin, but I was just picturing tune, dialed in, attunement.
Ooh.
I put two and two together.
You're smart.
Okay, attunement.
So, and then if we're kind of trying to avoid the shame and not really sitting with it, even though it's uncomfortable, what happens is that ends up turning into a toxic self-attack. That's where the I am bad comes in, where we start kind of tearing ourselves apart. That's toxic shame. Okay. That's the kind of shame that really isn't helpful. If we can sit with our shame and tolerate it, that's where we get healthy shame. And that helps us know that we're limited and that we're human. So I'm not going to say that shame is my favorite feeling to feel out of the ones that are uncomfortable, but it also is they're all necessary. It is one of the most helpful because it reminds us that we're human, we're limited, and it reminds us that we need people. So if I am not allowing myself to acknowledge that I need people, there's going to be a wall between me and you. Also, if I don't acknowledge that I'm needing people, I don't allow other people's gifts to shine. So even in this pairing, there's things that you do better than I do, and there's things that I might do better than you, or there's things that I might know more about, and there's things that you might know more about. And by sitting in our shame, which says I am limited, we allow each other's stuff to come up and shine.
Yeah, I love that. I'm looking at our feelings wheel and the other words that are associated with shame. Humility, insecure, weak, exposed, embarrassment, disgraced, unworthy, disapproval, unlovable. Unlovable, that hurts.
That's a lot of yes, go to the gifts of shame.
Okay.
Wheel, and what's on there?
The gifts of shame. Containment, humanity, humility, and respect.
Yeah, there's respect, and also there is that story, I don't know if we talked about it on here or not, about the mom. Shannon gave it to us, didn't she? The mom that asked for the salt.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So it was a neighbor that didn't have as much. It looks like picture two neighbors. I'm going to paraphrase the story. So there's two neighbors. One neighbor has more than the other. And so the people with more, the mom of that family, went over and asked the neighbor that had less, for salt, because salt is something they had that was probably a resource they could spare. And the kids of the house with more, they were sort of like, why did you go ask them for salt? And the mom said, I I know they may need to come to us for things, and I want them to feel comfortable doing so. So if there's this mutual respect of like, I am going to come ask you for something, then you can feel safe coming to ask me for something.
Yeah.
So it's like this reciprocity.
Yeah. I feel respected when people come and ask for some, I mean, I don't always have it, right? But when somebody comes to me and asks for something because of whatever reason, there's respect there where they value you. That feels really good. And if we are not allowing ourselves to sit in that healthy shame, knowing that we're limited, we're never going to be able to offer that to somebody. It's like, I'm going to be on an island by myself. And I think a lot of times the toxic shame happens for people when they grow up in households where, and this is not done in a malicious way at all, but if we come from like an overprotective or overbearing household, or a household where things are done for you, things that you probably could do for yourself eventually or learn how to do, this thing happens where then you are out on your own and you didn't learn how to do these things, right? And then you also didn't learn how to ask. So then you just feel this, well, I guess I'm dumb that I can't do this. Or think about like, I know this for me with finances, and I know you've talked about this. I've just always said to myself, I'm never going to understand that. And like, when I get married, somebody's going to take care of that for me. Or like my dad's going to explain it or something like that. I don't need to know. And then when I was single, unmarried until I was 34, I avoided it because I didn't want to have to ask for help because I was like, well, I should know this.
And so then you're embarrassed.
So yeah. And so there's that like, and I remember meeting with a financial advisor for the first time and saying like, I feel so stupid that I don't know this. And he was like, how would you know this? And that's what we're here for. And I'm going to take my knowledge and help you. Just like if I was coming to you for therapy, you're going to be able to help me. And I thought that was a nice way of putting that.
I like that.
But I'm not his therapist.
Oh.
Mostly because I dated him.
And then, but also really, could you be the therapist to your
No.
Like legally, that would be
a mess.
That'd be bad.
Yeah. Especially with the stock market.
Oh, you'd be like,
that's my money that you're stressed out about losing.
So for years I carried shame towards my body when I was trying to get pregnant. I'm trying to think of what year Ben and I actually started trying for a baby, but it wasn't explainable. So we went to fertility doctors and we tried to get answers. We did certain tests and we didn't know. So I just would put that pressure on me. And I think Ben did the same. Like, well, then it must be me. Or it could have just been that he was in the Air Force and he was deployed a lot. And sometimes it takes a lot of tries. And maybe when I was ovulating, he was gone. But I mean, we were trying to do all the things right during the 60 days he was home, because he would be 60 days deployed, 60 days home. So those 60 days home, you have 2 chances of getting pregnant. And we weren't able to. So I just felt like my body was broken. And a lot of my friends around me were all getting pregnant. And my sister has 4 biological children. And so to me, being her sister, I'm like, well, what's wrong with my body? My body's broken. My body is bad.
What's wrong with me?
When truth is, we really didn't know. And no, I wasn't broken. And we had a different story for how we were going to become parents, which eventually was adoption. And that is beautiful. I still do have certain thoughts sometimes. Like, I wonder if I could still ever get pregnant and have a baby. But then I guess if I did, then would we know, like, oh, so maybe it wasn't me. Like I would have, do I want that? Maybe just for that validation of like, I'm not broken. Because for so long growing up, like that's what I wanted to be, was a stay-at-home mom. Like I just wanted to get pregnant and then stay home with my kids. And thankfully, like I have a whole career now, and because that's what happened for me. If you ended up a stay-at-home mom, that's not what I'm saying. I probably shouldn't have to say that.
I thought that's.
Well, I said thankfully. I guess thankfully I have a career and I didn't have all my eggs in that basket, or I'd still be sitting around waiting. Like, What am I doing? But I was able to have something that I could focus on. And then we were able to adopt. But I know that there's other people out there that might be in a similar situation with fertility. And I just don't want you to be hating on your body.
Yeah.
Or hating yourself or feeling like you're broken.
And I think it's easier sometimes for us to jump into the shame bucket before we jump into the sad bucket or the fear bucket or name any other emotion. Maybe that has to do with how we grew up and the messages we were given as humans or really just as women. It's really easy to jump in there versus I'm really sad this isn't going this way. Or
I'm glad you said that about the messaging because it's like you feel like growing up, like this is the one thing you were designed to do and you're not able to do it.
And you're supposed to do it. You're the one that's supposed to do it.
Like if we were on some show, like I don't want it to be Handmaid's Tale. Like I don't want it to be that, you know?
Yeah.
But like I would be not just okay, maybe it's not that. Or if it was way back, if we were getting weeded out, I'd be weeded out.
Isn't that what they did in Hand? I didn't watch it because I couldn't deal with the like.
I stopped watching it eventually, but I'm just like going way back in time. I mean, Handmaid's Tale is really freaky to even think that, because that's like now, and what if it looked like way back then? But I'm just saying like way back. I wouldn't have been a part of what was desirable because I couldn't. You know,
but there's more to you than that.
That's like way back then, I could have done a podcast. Just kidding. There was no technology.
It would be live shows.
I could have been a town crier and I could have stood in the middle of the town square and been like, told jokes.
You could have been one of the, maybe that's the same thing, but when they would all come to thinking of in Roman times, in the Colosseum, and they would perform
like I would put on a play?
Yes.
Oh, I could have been a thespian.
No, you couldn't. I think only men could do that, actually.
Oh my God.
Right?
Probably. They even played the women characters.
Yeah. So,
okay, well,
you would have changed the course for history.
I could have been I don't know.
Basket weaver.
Yes. Maybe I could have helped clothe the pregnant women.
Yeah.
And brush their hair.
Why did you?
That made me think of that scene in Dirty Dancing. My sister and I reenact that sometimes when she's brushing her hair, and she was like, what did she say? She was like, "You have really pretty hair, baby."
I've never seen that movie.
Wait, you've never seen Dirty Dancing? Oh my gosh.
You should just assume I haven't seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who's brushing whose hair?
The sister.
Oh, she calls her baby.
Baby is her name. It's her character. Frances is her real name. Frances.
That's where nobody puts baby in a corner comes from.
Exactly.
I thought that he just called her baby.
Mm-hmm. Or she says something like, "You want me to do your hair, baby?" I can't remember exactly because my brain just kind of popped to that scene. I don't know why. I tell you, my brain goes places when we're talking and then it's like completely not related to what we're talking about. And I'm like, brain, stop it. You're trying to focus because I really want to focus on what we're saying. And then that's where I go. And then now I talk about it and I'm taking everybody else's brain there. And it's like,
yeah, but
why'd I derail?
That's also like the fun of having a conversation with you.
Is it fun though? Because I see videos on Instagram of like, this is what it's like talking to my ADHD friend. And the people that are, what do you call it? Like neurotypical.
Yeah. God.
They sit there looking at their ADHD friend like,
get to the point.
Like, what is going on?
The only time it's frustrating, and I say this is I do it too, is when you're trying to get something done, or I frustrate myself. Otherwise, it's like, oh, we bring so much diversity into this conversation.
Oh yeah, we're so diverse.
Yeah?
Yeah. Maybe I would be able to tell jokes. Kermit the Frog didn't exist then, but I just had a Kermit the Frog joke that popped into my head that is kind of funny. You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to do it in its voice?
No.
Why not?
What did Kermit the Frog say at his puppet, because he's a puppet, so he has a puppeteer, the person that at his puppeteer's funeral?
What did Kermit the Frog say at his puppeteer's funeral?
Mm-hmm. Not a word.
That's good.
His puppeteer's dead.
That's a joke and a riddle.
Ooh, yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. We're diverse, remember?
Okay. Any other thoughts on shame? Shame and guilt weave within each other, so we can still talk about shame as we move on too.
Okay, we can move on to guilt.
Okay, so guilt, also very helpful. Guilt helps us stay in alignment with ourselves. We have to know what our
alignment is my word of the year.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
So have you been feeling a lot of guilt this year?
No. I just wanted to
Maybe not
you.
because you're just so in alignment that the guilt isn't coming up.
I'm feeling in alignment mostly unless my son has a track meet.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the need around guilt a lot of times has to do with forgiveness. It could be ourselves or forgiveness with somebody else or a group of people or whatever. So when we're unaware of our guilt, when we don't allow ourselves to actually acknowledge that we feel guilty, that moves us into the toxic shame realm as well. And that's where these are, which I guess your therapist said, cousins. They want to be best friends, but we need them to have like a little bit of separation.
It's like our eyebrows.
Sister, was it?
We want them to be the same. Like so many people are like, I want my eyebrows to be identical, but brows are cousins, not sisters, not twins.
Brows are the same as guilt and shame.
Right.
Okay, so it's easier to
especially mine because I have to draw mine on every day now.
They look good.
Thank you.
Okay,
30 minutes, but
we don't want ourselves to feel guilt. What we will do a lot of times also is we'll deflect or we'll get really defensive, and then what we don't do is live in our values. But then we'll excuse it and we'll blame. A lot of showing up in ways, as I'm describing this, I'm like, this is nobody that I would ever want to be hanging out with. But we all are going to do it at times. So there's that. We can take some of that shame and pressure off of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you are feeling your guilt helps show you what's important to you, what your values are. And it helps you maintain relationships too with yourself and other people. Because guilt says, hey, that wasn't really what you wanted to do. Maybe you might want to go talk to them and ask for forgiveness or ask what you could have done better. And you can also do that for yourself.
Yeah, I like that gift. Mm-hmm. That's why you were saying with the guilt about wanting to go to the track meet. Because I felt that's great information because now I get to show up how I want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we don't ever feel guilt, it's either because we're avoiding it and then we're living in shame and also not being who we truly are, or we are.
So psychopaths don't feel.
I would imagine not
shame or guilt.
Yeah. I would imagine
sociopaths.
Yeah. Both of them.
Yeah. Makes me think of the time that guy said I was a sociopath.
See, but you're not. Wait, what did you say when you were like, I feel empathy?
Yeah. I Googled because so a little backstory here is somebody in our life.
Not in my life.
He was in your life. Don't get it twisted. He was. Somebody in our life said I was a sociopath-ish or acting sociopathic or something like that. And I had to Google exactly what that meant because I didn't know the difference between the psychopath. And I'm like, okay. And I want to lean in. If I'm having that, I want to know so I can fix it. So I'm like, what is a sociopath? And it said one of the things under there is they have no regard for the law.
Oh, that's what it was.
And I said, I have regard for the law. I'm not a sociopath.
Yeah.
I have regard for the law.
You do like to follow rules. And
I mean,
you're a good person.
All the rules, but
what is funny about that was that was in an email, right?
Uh-huh.
You would be the last person in my life one of the last people that I would say has any qualities of that. So for somebody to call you that, I think that's when I lost it and I cried.
Okay, because I sent you the email and you're like, I can't even read this. I'm crying. Okay, but anyway, okay, yeah. Shannon's typing me notes right now about psychopaths. She said they see no shame or guilt even when the person's behavior was obviously hurtful.
Which is I wouldn't call this a superpower, but that's why they're able to do what they do, because they don't have those feelings. Which it feels very foreign to us.
Right, so then are we supposed to have grace for that? No. What
do you mean by that?
No. Well, I guess I feel bad that they can't feel. I know that's their responsibility, but what if they literally can't feel? Let's take out serial killers and stuff, murder. Maybe they've never, because there's plenty of sociopaths or psychopaths that haven't killed people.
Well, use the
if they've
example
murdered somebody
of a narcissist who might not have any empathy.
Right. And when I really boil it down to the root of their problem, I do feel bad and I try to have some grace, but there's also boundaries. So can you have grace and boundaries?
You can have compassion without forgiveness.
And get freaking annoyed?
Yeah. So compassion without forgiveness. Compassion allows me to understand. Like imagine somebody in your life who has really hurt you, but maybe somebody in their life really hurt them.
Okay.
A parent. This happens a lot with people who have parents that have caused them a lot of pain, whether it's abuse or neglect or something like that. We can have compassion and say, I get it. Nobody taught you and you were doing the best you could. And I don't forgive you because it was not okay. And I deserve better. So compassion without forgiveness.
But shouldn't we always forgive?
Ish. Personally, I think no.
Okay.
But that's not, I mean, it's up to you. You're allowed to.
I don't know. Just going back to, I mean, just generally speaking, like maybe you don't have to forgive them. Religious stuff aside. So let's set that. We don't need to go down that path. But even just the saying that's pretty popular about that of like,
it's like drinking poison.
It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah. I think that can be reversed, and forgiving somebody can actually feel like, or being forced to forgive somebody can feel like drinking poison. Because a lot of times when we forgive people, it is forced forgiveness where it feels like it's the shame. It's like, it feels like I have to do this. I should do this. Everybody's telling me that I should do this, but it doesn't feel right. And imagine somebody who has abused you or hurt you or something like that. It's, I can have compassion for humanity. Maybe not for that person, depending on the situation. I'm using a really extreme situation. I can have compassion for humanity, and I can heal and move forward and not forgive this person.
Okay.
I think that is fair and possible. But also, if you want to work towards forgiveness, there's no shame in that either, if that's something you want. I just like to send the message that you don't have to do that to heal.
Right. And forgiveness is a very, very, very personal journey and choice.
So just giving options, I think, is helpful. You can, you don't have to. You'll be okay if you don't.
Yeah.
Depending on the situation.
Depending. Okay.
Okay.
What were we talking about? Guilt? We're talking about guilt?
We're talking about guilt.
I think we were talking about guilt. I had the same thing with guilt, though, with my body and not being able to get pregnant. So the shame was, just so we can keep practicing the difference between, the shame was, I am broken. The guilt was, I can't give my husband or us a baby, like his family name, biologically, you know, like he really wanted a baby, as did I. And I felt guilty that we weren't able to do that.
But I think this is where shame and guilt get confused. In that space, what were you doing wrong that was living outside of your value system?
Well, nothing outside of my value system, but I still felt guilt. Like if it was my fault, then I felt guilty, but we didn't know.
But
So I put it on myself that it was my fault.
Yeah. Versus, because I'm thinking about,
because there are people that do have the fertility doctor say, actually, it is your body. Like some women are like, it's your fallopian tubes or it's your whatever. And then or the guy, it's like, it's your sperm situation. So somebody may have that situation. We were left in the unknown. So at times I felt that guilt of like, Ben married me. And now if he had married somebody else, maybe he could have gotten the baby.
Yeah. But you're creating a whole story.
I know.
Yeah.
But don't we do that even?
Yeah. And also, because I'm thinking about myself in this too, Patrick and I are trying to conceive, and it's not been the easiest road. And it is because of something with my body. But I didn't do anything I just was born into this body, and the world works in mysterious ways, and I have this thing. And I noticed myself, I'm not mad at myself for anything because I know I didn't do anything. I think it's just, I just think moving forward, I noticed myself apologizing to him and saying, I'm really sorry because of the things that like we've had to do. Like it's not been as fun. And like even silly things where I'm like, he has to go test his sperm, and we were just like laughing about it. Like, I'm sorry you have to do that. That's really awkward.
Right.
And I'm sorry that I have to pay for this doctor's appointment. And then he was like, it's okay. And then I had to have that moment of like, no offense, but why am I apologizing to you? Because I didn't do anything. And that's where I can sit in the humility part, which it feels wrong to say shame, but healthy shame. I can sit in the humility part that says like, I am very limited. There are things that are limited about me, and I need extra help. So I need extra doctor's appointments, or I need, like, I made my mom go with me to a doctor's appointment the other day because I didn't want to go by myself. Like, I need help. And that actually is, in a weird way, bringing me closer together to people than pulling me farther apart.
Yeah. And we want to be there for you. I know your mom wanted to be by your side no matter what. And Patrick wants to be there, and your friends. Like, we want to rally around. Or if you ever need to text me and vent to me about how this feels like a chore.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. Like, it feels like, well, it's like the romantic part of it.
Feels like you're taking it away
from your
them.
Relationship. Yes. It's like, hey, but I know a lot of people go through this. It's like, okay, I just checked the calendar, or I just took this test, and looks like we need to do it at 2:02 p.m. Can you be here? And it feels very mechanical, and then less like, whoopsie.
Yeah. And I think that's also where I was saying earlier, maybe you were feeling sadness or fear. And that's where I had to be like, why am I apologizing to you?
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't feel guilt about this. I think I've been living in a world that has set me up to think that I'm supposed to. So I automatically went there. But really, I'm really sad that it has to be this way because, you know, you want to just be like, oh, whoopsie, you got pregnant. And there's fear of like, we have no idea what's going to happen. And with you, it sounds like there could have been fear of you didn't know what was going on.
No, so many unknowns. I mean, and it started to take a toll on our relationship. Yeah. And then eventually we decided to go the adoption route. But even with that, I was on board with that before Ben. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of had this aha moment where he's like, yeah, this could be really beautiful. And it's obviously what God had in store for us. So I see that now, like looking back. When you're in it, it's really hard to see. But it's like we've talked before about the mosaic. Like we can't see everything. We can't see the big picture. We're looking at the up close piece of the tile. And the more we get to step back little by little, we get to see the beautiful piece of art, which is our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And something to remember, and obviously I have to remind myself this too, is just because you didn't get what you wanted doesn't mean you got nothing. And I think that is helpful in the moment. Like in the moment, I'm not getting what I want, but it doesn't mean I have nothing. There's so many other parts of my life that I can lean into. And then also in retrospect, you can look as like, just because I didn't get what I originally wanted doesn't mean I didn't get anything. Like, look, I do have this family. I do have kids, and I do have a career. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to reach across the chair and hug you.
I noticed as I'm starting tearing up, and then you started tearing up, and I was like,
yeah. But we can't move. We're on a set because we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
We have video now. So don't move anything because we're on our set. But maybe we need to, what do they call that in, when you break the
fourth wall? What does that really mean?
Well, like people like are seeing behind the scenes, like we'd be breaking the fourth wall. Like they get to see like some of the behind the scenes. It's not like the perfect, like curated shot.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we just like screw this setup that we've done perfectly.
Shannon would not like that.
Bring in the other camera that shows everything. I know. It's like everything's like taped perfectly so we know exactly. Okay, yeah. Which, speaking of Shannon, she says, breaking the fourth wall in film, theater, or television means that a character acknowledges or directly addresses the audience, breaking the illusion that the audience is not present. Oh, so that would be like that. Oh, so that's like in The Office when they look at the camera and start talking to the audience. So I had that wrong.
We are breaking the fourth. Well, I guess when we're like, hey
when
guys.
we were like, hey YouTube.
That's breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. Or maybe it would be like if I look directly into the camera and I'm like, Kat just started crying. you like narrate kind of what's happening and you let them in, because some people may not have picked up on that you were emotional.
Oh yeah. She's like, she's usually laughing and perky, and then she just like fumbled over her words, and
the camera was on.
Kat's like, I zoomed into her eyeball as it's welling up.
So we've got Cryo Cat running the cameras, and then Shannon's in here helping with us. Okay, so Shannon is sending examples. A character looking directly into the camera and commenting on the plot. Oh, that'd be like that. Like you could look into the camera and be like,
and then she pulls out her fertility calendar.
Yeah. Or you could clarify to reiterate, Amy is not a sociopath.
Oh yeah. Are you asking me to do that?
Obviously.
She's not a sociopath or a psychopath. I can say that with utmost certainty. And I don't know a lot of things. I do know that.
You're a licensed therapist.
Yeah, you do know a lot of
but
things.
Okay, there are a lot of things I don't know. That's better. I do know that.
A character speaking directly to the audience as if they are part of the scene, and then a character acknowledging the audience's presence or the fact that they are watching a show or movie. We've been doing that. We're like, if you're new here.
First of all, I was watching a reunion of a reality show, and they said breaking the fourth wall. They were talking about how they were giving info about the producers doing something. They're like, not to break the fourth wall, but so and so was filming and and giving behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I feel like that falls under that.
It's it's not as curated. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was bringing in another camera that gives you a different angle of the whole thing. Like you're seeing, if I were to be able to give you a hug right now, that wouldn't be on part of the show because you don't hear a hug. But I guess if they brought in the camera and saw me hugging you,
yeah.
But right now I'm just gonna pretend hug.
Okay, we'll just do that.
We'll
hug later.
I do have my dirty shirt metaphor.
Oh yeah, I like that. So
that we can close with a metaphor. It's called the dirty shirt. Imagine you're wearing a white shirt and you spill coffee on it. Guilt says, "Ugh, I spilled coffee on my shirt. That was clumsy. I should be more careful next time." You see the mess, you feel bad, and want to clean it up. It's about the action. Shame says, "Of course I spilled coffee. I am such a mess. I ruin everything." And that's just the cousin. That's why they're the dramatic cousin, because now it's not about just the shirt being dirty. You feel like the mess. It's no longer about the shirt. It's about your identity.
Well, and there's also, what do you do with that? So guilt's I'm going to be more careful next time. I'm going to take shit out of there because sometimes that word can be frustrating.
I also think, before we move on to the shame part, under guilt, I think we should also celebrate when we handle something like that well. I didn't spill coffee on my shirt yesterday, but I spilt an entire, I've got my matcha here. See, I'm breaking the fourth wall. This is my iced matcha. Oh, that probably sounded so gross in the mic. I used to hate when my mom would swallow because hereditarily I have a really loud swallow. It's not my fault. It's my mom's.
Okay. You blame a lot of stuff on your mom. The scamming, you said that she liked to.
Yes. Well, it's just a product of my environment.
Yeah.
And my tortilla.
Just kidding.
But I have a really loud swallow. And I just made a fresh matcha yesterday, and I was going up the stairs, and I trip over the stairs and I spill the matcha everywhere. And I think in unhealthier times, I would have probably lost it and been which, I mean, who knows? It could be a toss up hormonally if I were to respond that way. But I was really, really proud of myself that I just was like,
silly me.
Silly. Yeah. I was like, gosh, now I'm going to have to go make another one. And I sort of skipped to the kitchen. I got my cleaning things. I put on more hot water to make a fresh one. And I went and I cleaned it up.
Yeah.
And it was so much easier. The recovery time was so fast. And I just...
There would be no recovery if it was shame. It would be I don't even deserve matcha.
Yeah. Or I could have just been stupid fucking... I didn't say that.
We can leave it out.
But I could have lost it, which I think it's okay if you want to get mad in a second. But something about that yesterday, I just had this great experience, and I want to acknowledge that I did celebrate it, because I think it's important that we celebrate those moments when we handle something in a way that's more breezy and it doesn't get us all riled up. Because then there's a snowball effect that happens. And then who knows the next thing that would have happened, because now my feathers are ruffled and I'm just going to keep being irritated and, but it's like, okay, I spilled my matcha.
No big
Guess I'm going to go have to make me another one.
Dang it.
Good thing I have more left.
Yeah.
And I can make another one, because some people might spill their matcha and not have any left to make. So celebrate those moments that you find yourself doing that. And then also have grace for the times where you're like,
it takes a little longer. Yeah.
It takes a little longer. Yeah.
This happened today. So you might be shocked by this, but I've been making eggs, not for myself.
Okay.
For
but
Patrick.
I mean, you're cooking them without vomiting?
I'm cooking them. Yes. And breaking the fourth wall. For those that don't know this, I can't stand eggs, but I do like making breakfast for my husband. And I was like, okay, that'd be easy and la 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 la. And I do like to cook, even though I'm not the best cook. Well, I've never really made eggs before because, I made them for an ex-boyfriend and he always would be like, oh, these are gross. These are too wet, or these are too, he was not nice. So I haven't made eggs in like 8 years. And that was the only time I'd ever made them. So I was like, Patrick, I'm going to make you eggs. And we made an omelet, I think yesterday, and he helped me. And then today I said, I'm going to do it by myself. You go get ready. I'm going to do it by myself. I don't need your help. Well, eggs cook so fast. Like, I'm sure everybody's like, yeah, duh. But I thought I had like time.
Like, how much time?
Okay, not like 10 minutes, but I was like, okay, I have time to like put the ingredient. I was making a fancy omelet. I had onions, I had peppers, I had spinach, I had bacon. Put all this stuff in, cheese. I was like, oh no, I gotta get the cheese. And by the time I flipped it over, it was pretty burnt.
Yeah.
And Patrick ate it anyway. But what I could have done is been like, I'm so stupid. I'm an idiot. You shouldn't love me. Like, I probably wouldn't have been that dramatic, but I could have had a version of, God, I can't even make eggs. I'm so dumb. Like, why am I even trying? Or that guy was right. I do suck at this.
You mean your ex-boyfriend?
Yeah. But instead, I'm like, Patrick, I think I need your help one more time. So that's where it's like shame, toxic shame doesn't. This is my egg metaphor.
I also have like a question for you. Like, I get Patrick's getting ready, right? So what about Google? Like, if you Googled, like,
I didn't think I needed to Google it.
But like Google, like how to make an omelet. Google.
Well,
do you have?
I don't know. My first thought is, I guess my
Alexa
first thought is like, I'm gonna ask somebody else to help me if he's available.
Oh, okay. Well, I know, but you were like, I got this. Go get ready.
Oh,
but you thought you had it.
If he couldn't be there to help me, I would probably Google
Obviously.
it. Yeah. But because he is there, then I'm like, can you help me learn this a couple more times before I'm out on my own with the omelet? And he was like, yeah, of course. So where I can lean into his gift of egg making, I don't know. But that's the difference of where guilt can actually lead us somewhere. Toxic shame cuts us. I would never make him another omelet.
Yeah. You're not going to give up.
I'll update you guys.
You're going to be like omelet queen. That's going to be your new hobby.
When I get my mind set on something.
Kat's going to be like, come to my kitchen. You can make pottery. I'll do your nails and I'll make you an omelet.
The one thing I won't do is an over easy egg where they're like gooey.
Oh, I love a runny egg. I wonder how many people have like a egg story, because I feel like eggs, they're such a staple in people's lives that I wonder if you just take that one thing, like egg, and what's a story in your life that comes to mind? Like, you have your boyfriend that was awful. Mm-hmm. He was awful, by the way.
He was terrible.
I'm glad you're not with him. Awful, awful, awful. I have my boyfriend from college that I'm pretty sure he broke up with me because of the time I threw a fit over.
Oh yeah.
I wanted egg whites and he made me like, but this was not me. It was my eating disorder.
Yeah.
And my eating disorder, we'll call her,
Bridget.
Oh, perfect. Sounds like a good name. Bridget was a real B. Mm-hmm. Bridget was high maintenance. Mm-hmm. And she wanted egg whites.
Particular.
And when Bridget got eggs scrambled with the yolk in it, what is she to do? Because the yolk has fat. And now I'm like, give me the yolk. Like I want the yolk. Like I want all the things. But
I just can't stop thinking about how you say yolk.
yolk. But that would be a story that comes to mind for me. And then you had your egg thing, and then now you have the omelet thing. And I wonder if like you just take that simple thing. If you're like, here's an egg. Now everybody share your traumatic story.
This is our group therapy exercise. Pass the egg and tell us what it brings up for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. You're holding the egg. Oh,
what's the image?
And then now it's like, oh, I'm a woman and I'm only born with a certain amount of eggs.
Yeah.
And then they slowly start dying off.
Well, they don't
I wonder,
die off, you pass them.
speaking of that basketball game I went to with my boyfriend after the track meet on Friday, there was this little teeny tiny baby there. It was so cute. It was the most precious little baby. Like we were trying to figure out, how old do you think that baby is? I don't know. She may be fresh out of the hospital, but I was impressed at the mom and the dad being there to support their other child. Meanwhile, I was thinking, I barely even went to my son's track meet, and here they are with this new baby. And I was obsessed. And I looked at my boyfriend and I was like, does that make you want to have a baby? And he was like, no. And I was like, yeah, me neither. But it really did. It made me want to have a baby. I mean, not necessarily, I'm not saying with him or that I'm going to, but I do wonder sometimes. And then I quickly tell myself, you don't want a baby. Like you don't want to change diapers. But that's a narrative I gave myself whenever Ben and I were switching to adoption, and then especially adopting older kids. We were like, we don't want to, which we really felt called to do that. Like we felt like this is something we want to do. And we would joke like, well, at least now we don't have to change diapers. Now we've had to deal with other things that might make me want to change the diapers. But, that's just something I wonder if I do to quickly make myself think I don't want to have a baby. Like, you don't want to deal with all that newborn stuff and no sleep and bleh.
It helps you not feel.
It helps me not feel. So I immediately did that little trick. I'm like, baby's diapers, bum it.
And like maybe you don't want to do that, and
I want that cute little tiny baby. Like I do not know these people, and I wanted to be like, can I hold your baby? Which I would never say that, but I wanted to. It was so cute. I'm like, enter that baby into
a contest.
Gerber because it was so cute. Okay. All right. Shannon has a note for us. Cooking a basic omelet typically takes 3 to 6 minutes, depending on your stovetop and desired level of doneness. You should flip it after the first minute.
Oh, definitely didn't do that. I didn't. Okay. Well, now I know. I'll update you next week. I'll send you a picture of my omelet.
All right. Well, we hope y'all
are having the day
you need to have. We'll see you on Thursday for Couch Talks. We love hearing from y'all. Email us, hey there at Couch Talks. Nope. Hey there at Feeling Things. It's hey there at feelingthingspodcast.com.
Yeah. Also, I was going to say, for the people, we're getting emails about the newsletter. If you email us, I will sign you up for the newsletter. And we're working on the Facebook group, so you can find the sign up there.
Yes. And there's a link tree in our Instagram at Feeling Things Podcast where you can also sign up for the newsletter. But I know not everybody has Instagram. But yeah, we're going to be everywhere. We're on TikTok.
Why is that funny?
I just felt old.
We're on the Tiki-Tucky.
We're everywhere. You can access us.
We're on the TikTok.
We're on the TikTok. We're on the YouTube.
On the Instagram. We're on the YouTube.
We're on the Facebook. And we're on the newsletter. And we have
a phone number.
And we have an email. Oh, yeah. What's our phone number, Shannon? Nobody was calling it. And that was the thing. Like, I was like, we want people to feel comfortable calling. People are so comfortable emailing. But wouldn't it be fun to play a voicemail?
Yeah, it would. I guess
which we did get some, and I wanted to play them back. But we're going to advance to the live calls. We're going to do the live calls.
Well, if nobody's leaving a message, then
I think people are more inclined to call than leave a message. Okay.
Well, I would feel the opposite. Just growing up in my generation, is that if I don't have to make a phone call, I'm not making a phone call.
Okay, true.
So I think that's how a lot of people operate. So we're not used to it. So
And
that
like
might
maybe
be
they don't want
part
their
of-
voice on the.
Well, to me, it's just
But we
like
could do a voice changer.
yeah, we could. That would be fun.
I think.
Yeah, I think that for the couch talks questions, if people who want to be anonymous are definitely not going to want
And
to leave
then
a voicemail.
in the subject line, should they put couch talks?
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, we'll see y'all on Thursday for couch talks. Let me see if we have any other order of business here
in your fancy
in my the iPad.
on the iPad.
On the iPad. So YouTube check, newsletter check, Instagram check, email us check, have the day you need to have check. I'm at Radio Amy and you are
At Kat Van Buren.
and we'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Bye.